Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto anime review. This one's going to be for episode 93, which is called Parent and Child Day. And this was actually a really fun episode. Obviously it wasn't meant to be anything overly serious or plot heavy, but I felt it was actually a needed episode because just the fact that it was basically father-daughter day for Naruto and Himawari, that was something that we needed to get to after obviously the most important arc so far, the movie arc, being so kind of heavily focused on, for the most part, Boruto sort of being upset that Naruto's not home that much, but primarily for Himawari's sake, and this being interaction between Naruto and Himawari. So a whole episode focused on that, I think, made complete sense, and it was really fun and, cute, of course, just seeing basically most of the older characters from Naruto's class kind of react to Himawari and just note how cute she is, and they basically went jingle all the way here, where it's like they were never actually going to get the toy, but it was the little things that happened along the way, the gifts that weren't quite the exact one, that got her in the end, basically. That it was the journey, not the where they were going necessarily. So that was really fun to see just throughout the whole episode. You got a scene with Tenten, Ino, Kiba was a decent part of this episode, Shino had a part of the episode, and just reflecting on all that stuff of just they haven't, the parents haven't told the kids everything about the past. So Himawari not really knowing that Kiba was a part of her mother's team was pretty interesting, and from then on her calling him kind of uncle for the rest of the episode, that was cool, and just her basically, I suppose, meeting Kiba for the first time here, and ninja hound user, she gets to interact with the dogs, Akamaru, and then Akimaru, who is the younger one. Just lots of fun moments, I think, here, just little character interaction moments that were really cool. And then the idea that the toy was a toy Kurama, along the lines of I suppose a lot of the toys that they do tend to, is at least currently put out, where you have to feed them, and something happens, they kind of hatch out of an egg, Hatchimals, that sort of thing. So there was a sort of modern thing of just referencing kind of popular toys as well in this, that they made one out of the different tailed beasts. That is very, it's fun, obviously, but it's also a little bit weird that these things that in the past were basically the equivalent of nuclear weapons are now made into kids' toys. I get you sort of have to suspend your disbelief there. It's just a fun little thing to note. But even little things like Naruto vaguely suggesting to Himawari that he has the real Kurama inside him was one that clearly they don't know. So that's one of those reveals I think a lot of people are waiting to see, how he goes about it, if at all, revealing that, and is there any sense of hiding the story of what the truth behind the tailed beasts is, because things have changed. But there was fun around that. We got to see Naruto interact with Kurama a little bit, him not wanting to help, but in the end giving Naruto a nice piece of advice, and that you don't need my help, it'd mean a lot more if you put extra effort in to make this happen. So that was cool. In addition to the fact that they just got across that Naruto can't do everything at this time because he's so tired from all the working, he can't even use most of his jutsu, so he tries to use multi-shadow clone, but only makes 2, and they're both asleep. And I like the Himawari moment of her kind of bigging Boruto up, that Boruto can make more than that. So that's what this episode was, basically. It was just a lot of really fun character moments, and I think coming off an arc that was a little overly long, even though it had great moments in it, this was exactly kind of what we needed. Just seeing some of the old cast, getting a focus on Himawari, who I think a lot of people wanted a bit more focus on, and that's exactly what the episode accomplished. Even the little Boruto scenes of him telling Naruto, don't make excuses, and him sort of, I suppose, remembering that when he sees the flyer that Himawari has for the limited edition toy. And then Boruto later encountering Shino, who's bought one himself, just because obviously he clearly collects toys, but explains it away as, I'm doing research for my students to know what they like. So that was cool. And even the little line he had where he says that, like, to the toy, like, you're so much cooler and smarter than Naruto's real Kurama. So that's another nice little moment for sure. Kiba was in this episode because he was planning to get the toy for his girlfriend. So I would have liked to have seen her in the episode, because it's one of the more vague relationships we sort of have, in that, like, okay, they basically confirm that she's his girlfriend, but not seeing her just feels a bit odd. Maybe that'll get confirmed more clearly at a later point, but still, it was nice to see him here, and I suppose have his first interaction with, Himawari. And I suppose mainly just to have Himawari interact with the dogs was fun. They went to the flower shop, of course, because Naruto's such an idiot that he thinks all shops would stock anything, basically. So a flower shop might have it, a weapon shop might have it, but I like that there was a reference by Ino to the episode where Inojin and Himawari had a sort of focused episode together, and she ended up sort of helping him, and so Ino gives her 2 flowers and thinks that Himawari is really cute. So we got that. The Tenten scene was interesting because obviously, like, she obviously doesn't get a lot of business in her shop because as Shikamaru, I think earlier on in the episode, said, there's much more non-shinobi citizens in the village now than there was in the past, so there's not as many people to sell it to. And then when she's stocking items like limited edition, like parent-child kunais, like reverse-sided kunais, it's just a little odd. But still, it was nice to get to see her. I suppose this episode basically confirmed 100% to us that Tenten isn't Metal's mother, but there's still vagueness about that. So who is Metal Lee's mother? That's a big question that we all want to know, because you see them in the background, and the next episode is going to focus, I suppose, on Shocho and Shoji. It looks like it's going to be, but I suppose they can just do a bunch of kind of one-shot episodes focusing on the different characters. Like, we didn't see Sarada or Sakura here, or I suppose Sasuke, so it'd be fun if they brought them back in to have another kind of episode along this line where it feels a little bit more important than maybe some of the other families they could choose. Even just the little moments, I suppose, of Hinata actually leaving earlier on in the episode to go see her father was a nice little touch of just, they're aware of all the details that, of course, it's Parent-Child Day for everyone, so even she would go to see her parents, so that was cool. But the entire plot of this episode was basically Jingle all the way, and then, like, I thought they were going to do the thing where, like, she gives it up to Kiba, but then they kind of introduced the ninja who's been out of the village for too long. He hasn't seen his kid in a while, and Himawari has the opportunity to get it here because Kiba got one, but she actually lets this ninja's child have it, and she kind of accepts that because she had such a nice day with Naruto, but and she's sort of happy because she got, I suppose, the basic idea of the toy. She didn't get the Kurama one, but she got the Shukaku one, which is cool, like one tail. I was wondering, like, is there any way to have a reference to that, like, where, like, I suppose, like, Tamari could make a comment about that, but, Gaara isn't here, so, there was no real way to say anything about it. So instead they went down the road of just Naruto saying stuff about Shukaku, like, oh, you like this one better, because he's basically insulting Kurama to say that. So, a lot of fun references throughout the episode, and, it was a fairly common plot, but it was just nice to get at the end, her just happy to spend time with Naruto, and then, especially when she says to him, and keep doing a good job as the Hokage, because, of course, she saw how he handled that ninja, in that it wasn't just her giving the toy to that ninja's child. Naruto also changed his role from constantly being outside the village on missions to now being a guard of the village, so he actually gets to be there, be around his child more, and Naruto did it in a way where, like, he was kind of almost acting like it was a punishment, and it took Kiba to say, you idiot, he's keeping you in the village, and that was the emotional moment. And it was Himawari, I suppose, seeing Naruto doing his job in a way for the first time, and her understanding it was, I think, very nice to see. And in the same way that Boruto wasn't so obsessed that he had to be like around Naruto this episode, he was fine going off on his own. Himawari is now a little bit more understanding of that as well. So that was, I think, good development to, in an episode that was about the cute interaction between Himawari and Naruto, to just have a more serious moment of her kind of understanding the position Naruto's in, and so on. So yeah, I think that's everything I want to say about this episode. I like these type of episodes, especially like coming off a big arc like that. I understand wanting to have a little bit of separation before you start into another one. I know we're waiting to get back into like canon content, but this was, I think, really, really well done. So yeah, in the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on this episode. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.